What if the most powerful forgiveness practice you've ever done wasn't with a therapist, a teacher, or even in meditation? What if it was in a conversation with a mirror of artificial intelligence? So, this is exactly what I want to share with you because in the recent past, I've been exploring AI as a tool for our expanded awareness, for forgiveness. In particular, I was working on developing a forgiveness GPT. And so I thought, let me bring this situation that agitated me directly into the conversation. So here's what happened. I gave AI, of course, the situation, the frustration, my thoughts about it, and then I asked it to help me to forgive. What unfolded from there wasn't just something that was kind of cute or interesting. It was profound to the degree that even right now I feel goosebumps moving through my body because it helped to illuminate the mind that was creating the grievance and upholding the grievance as its identity. So, did AI help me to forgive? Did it forgive for me? It certainly helped me, but it did not forgive. It couldn't. It could only show me the decisions that I was making behind the veil of, well, I would say of my ego consciousness. So here's the experience. A little while ago, I was at home and I began to enter into a moment where I really felt like I was left carrying more than my own share of responsibility. And so the grievance started to form. On the surface, it looked very compelling because it positioned me as the responsible one, as the one who is taking care of things, as the one who is aware. And the other person was being painted as the scattered one or the distracted one, or how could they not see what this is costing me? And within minutes, a moment of perception became an entire courtroom drama where I was the witness, I was the judge, somehow I was also the prisoner of this uncomfortable emotional milieu, right? That we call suffering. And so what began to unfold is this concentration of negativity. And so a moment of, let's say, feeling overlooked turned into an entire identity for this person that I was judging, and an entire identity of this, as a Course in Miracles calls it, the rested halo for me, right? Because I'm the innocent one, the victim of this. So, this is the situation that I brought to AI because I wanted to see, okay, so here right now, and this was the beauty of the thought dropping in and giving me this opportunity, but which is grace, right? But I thought, okay, so I'm here in this contracted state. I see the other person only as wrong. I feel wronged. Let me bring this to AI. Okay. And so I described the entire scenario and asked it. And this is the really, really important things because I want you to really slow down with me here and pay attention. Because if you do this in a general context with AI, most of the time it's simply going to agree with you. It's going to agree with you and give you a verdict like, well, yes, that person shouldn't have done that or whatever it is, and it will often just solidify your grievance. Even if it challenges you a little bit in normal context, you can push back and you say, oh, yeah, but they said that they would do this and then they didn't. And I'll say, oh, yeah, that's right. Because it's not there to be on behalf of your freedom by default, it's there to make you more comfortable. This is its ethos, right? The ethos of AI. So instead of that, I asked it to work within very specific parameters. I asked it to not validate me, not try to just agree with me, not try to point out who's right or who's wrong. I asked it to help me to disassemble my grievance and to see the real inner working. If I am the creator of my reality, my perception, then how am I creating this experience that I clearly do not want, that is causing me suffering? Okay. And then I typed out my story. What came back to me revealed to me so much more than um, a sense of relief about that situation. it really showed me that underneath the surface story, there are multiple layers of my own story. For example, at the surface, I seemed to want to take on this spiritual identity that all is well, I'm not bothered, right? Or maybe it was more of like a I can hold everything without being overwhelmed by it kind of identity, like the mountain, so to speak. And so this was what I was playing out, and I wanted this identity to be true for me, and so I made concessions to my integrity that resulted in this sense of suffering inside. But at the same time, I wanted to portray that I am this particular level of spiritually evolved and nothing bothers me, right? And then underneath that, I discovered another layer. And as you can see, this has nothing to do with the other person at all. It is a drama that is unfolding within. It is our own character's um, narrative that is populating our awareness, right? And our consciousness. And as we begin to identify with it, we listen to the voice that at the surface says the problem is out there, but really the problem is inside, right? The problem that is causing me to make choices that are not congruent with my authentic in the moment lived experience, that are not actually counting me into the picture, but just looking at the picture and saying, okay, how can I be of service and appear impeccable, right? So beneath that layer is another layer. I discovered that there's a layer of anger, of seething anger, anger at the inauthenticity of myself, anger at making choices that are completely out of alignment with where I actually wanted that situation to go. I didn't make a win win choice, I didn't even make a proposal. Instead, I made an assumption. I acted on that assumption. I didn't converse with the other person at all about what I actually wanted. I just assumed that it would be this way because this is the way that maybe it wasn't there in the past, or just my sense of how things could go. Not so. And so that anger inside, and the anger wasn't just to that particular situation or even person or even myself, it was the anger of not living my authentic life or across all the years, across all the choices, and across making these choices that took me down trajectories in life in which I only wanted to appear a certain way, but it wasn't my core calling. It wasn't my true choice. I think you know what I'm talking about, right? As we explore this situation, I want you to picture yourself in it. First of all, you've probably run into situations like this where you felt like you ended up with more than your fair share. Yeah. And then you maybe felt resentful to the other person. And you probably have also come across these moments of illumination inside and seeing, wait, but I am doing this by my own hand. There's something that I am authoring. Where is that? And this is exactly what AI is so beautifully positioned to help us see. Because when you speak with AI, when you express yourself, you're not trying to please it, right? Most of the time. Of course, you might get an impulse like that as the ego will readily offer up, but most of the time you can be completely unedited in a way that you probably are not with any other person for fear of judgment, right? For fear of um, having them see you a certain way. But with AI, you might feel like, well, I can share anything. It's private, or I can delete it later if I want to. It's not going to affect my social circle. And so you really get to divulge what's really inside of you that you wouldn't otherwise be able to express and accurately see. And so in this unfolding, I got to bump up against that rage of inauthenticity, not being my true self throughout my journey in life. Yeah. And then another layer revealed itself, which was the grief of all the moments lost in which I was trying to please somebody, in which I was trying to appear a certain way, in which I was trying to create a certain self image or uphold an identity that wasn't truly me. And so I don't know if this is hitting you as hard as it hit me, but going from, ugh, I'm being wronged to this revelation of my own inner workings that are really the foundation of the world that is emerging through consciousness, right? Because remember, the core principle that we keep coming back to on this channel is that perception is projection, right? It is all coming from within to the without. And you're seeing it out here. But the seeing out here is also just imagination. It is completely colored by all of these inner layers of the way that you relate to yourself, to the other, to the world. And so, as these came into my awareness, I felt this immense sense of relief for that situation, but then also gratitude for that situation because it helped to surface something in me that was so profound and I was so blind to it up to that point that the entire situation, as the course keeps pointing out, became a gift, and it was a gift, but I got to unwrap it with AI. And so what happened to the grievance? Well, the grievance became a portal, right? It revealed the layers, not only those layers that I shared that were within me that I got to see, but the layers of perception, the narrative layer where we're blaming somebody and speaking from one point of view out of like thousands that you could take on that particular scenario and describing it in terms that are very much manipulated to slant in this particular direction to our own bias. Next is, where is all of that slant coming from? The meaning that we ascribe to whatever we're perceiving, it is being surfaced by the identity. So if we take that grievance, what is it in me that needed that grievance in order for it to exist? Well, for me to be the responsible one, the spiritual one, the one that holds it all, I had to have somebody who, so to speak, lets me down so that I can hold it all. Someone who is not so responsible, apparently, so that I can appear to be the most responsible one. Do you see how this works? You see how identity then fuels the meaning and interpretation, and then the meaning interpretation colors that narrative? And so we have this stream that we think is going from the outside in, but no, it's going from the inside out. And so forgiveness is more than just saying it's okay and trying to be loving to somebody that you secretly hate and feel anger towards. Forgiveness, as A Course in Miracles is bringing us to it, is the complete dissolution of the entire mechanism that is causing the grievances to unfold. It is the dissolution of the belief in separation, in victimhood, in multiple powers. And so, as we bring this into the scope of forgiveness, we begin to see that it is truly a gift. It is truly an alchemical opportunity that is being presented to us right in that moment. And this is exactly what artificial intelligence helped me to see, to reveal the pattern of my own identity, to reveal the pattern of how I was using interpretation to color my perception, and how that surface level narrative that we're so used to seeing on social media, on the news. Ah, it's just like this. Here's exactly why it's like this. Here's why it's all confirmed. It's totally fake news. It's absolutely fake. And it's done so only to preserve a particular identity. Yeah, that secret identity that you are upholding. And when those payoffs become revealed, and when you see over and over again that, wow, this is what I'm doing at the cost of peace, at the cost of my own suffering, this is when the opportunity for a brand new choice becomes available to us, a choice to choose peace instead of this. With all that said, I still want to leave you with an important caution. Because of the way AI speaks, and because of the way that it gets to know you through these interactions, it can appear to be very authoritative, even while reintroducing fear into your narrative, getting you to be defensive and watchful and on guard or on alert for certain signs, right? You have to remember that the discernment between truth and everything else, which we might call ego or illusion or Maya, is still within your domain. It is a decision inside of you. It's not anything that AI can make for you. If it does, it's absolutely going to lead you astray. Even with the greatest constraints that you might put into the prompt, you may still detect when it is trying to win your favor, when it's trying to make you more comfortable, when it's trying to uphold some kind of safety standard that's been programmed into it by ego, right? By this ego dream matrix. Doesn't matter what brand of AI you're using, it is at the core of it an expression of the ego, not anything to be afraid of, because your conscious mind is also an expression of the ego as well as the subconscious, right? So we have a lot that we're working with within the domain of this particular dream of separation. This is not a reason not to use AI, but it's a reason to really understand that AI, just like everything else in duality, is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, with your intention, attention, and full presence with it, you can use it to cut through illusion. On the other hand, with you giving it your consent, it can take you on an ego trip and spit you out in a place where you think that you're enlightened and powerful and spiritual, but you'll know the telltale sign. If you feel like there's any lack of safety in your world, if you feel like there's any reason to withhold love, you are under the influence of the matrix, which is absolutely okay. Most people on this planet apparently are under this influence, and many times we are. And all it is it's about choosing again and again to choose peace instead of this, to value what is truly valuable, which is the truth, right? Which is love. And the more that you make these choices, the more the momentum begins to shift. And the more your awareness of these patterns within you grows, the more powerful is your like perception or assessment of the situation. You know now that the surface level is not what it is. You even begin to sense that the meaning level is not what it is. It's not just about changing these meanings, it's about dissolving the identity that is fueling, funding, and promoting the meanings that are based in separation, fear, and, um, well, lack, essentially. Lack that there's not enough of something for you, for the other, for all of us. So I hope this conversation has served you, and I really want to invite you to go ahead and try it. I'm going to leave a version of the prompt in the description below so that you can explore and experiment with it yourself. And I also want to invite you to experience something that I've been developing over the past several months that goes so much deeper into this than any course, than any book, than any coaching, which is what I've called the Mirror Protocol. It is the exact structure designed to reveal the patterns that are underneath the patterns, right? As we saw that there are these levels and layers to our identity that is then influencing the way that we give meaning and interpret, that is influencing the narratives that we uphold, speak, and believe. And so, if you want to dive deeper into that architecture that is responsible for the world that you see, then start with mirror-protocol.com. The link is in the description, and it will give you a free glimpse into this mirror to reveal one strand of the particular pattern that you are running. You get to choose the area of your life, whatever it is that you're working with. And from my heart to yours, I absolutely feel like this is one of the most incredible, helpful, and powerful, effective tools that I've come across in all areas of my spiritual exploration over the past 20 some years. So it's a free gift. Experience it yourself. Let me know what it's like when you engage with it, what it reveals to you. If you're seeing that it's powerful and it's inspiring, then you can take some of the next steps onto the breakthrough or the full dossier that will tell you exactly the in-depth pattern and loop and walk you out of it so that you can practice over the following 22 days of how you can dissolve this tiny steps at a time Okay. So that's in the description if you want to check it out. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Let us continue to deepen our awareness of the truth and bring it into full expression through all the tools and all the channels that we have available. Wishing you all the very best until we speak again.